Look, if you want your old life back, you need to help me.
They say you're a monster.
Yeah, well, if I'm a monster, I was made into one.
I'm gonna need you to back off Drew.
I'm gonna keep seeing Drew. You ain't gonna do shit about it.
Everywhere I go, there's eyes on me.
Tip Tariq off.
There are consequences to getting caught.
Now, going into the home stretch of Season 3, I think we're in a position where we can safely assume relationships will never be the same again. Whether we're talking about Tariq and Effie or Monet and the Tejadas. Now with Tariq and Effie, they're over when it comes to business and personal for now. Although I can see them getting back into a business relationship because sometimes for the greater good, you do have to work together as a team. And we all know they need to turn a profit for Noma. But for the time being, Kane did step in and say he'll take care of her. Now whether that turns into romance is yet to be seen. But business does seem like it's going to be hit for the entire crew. Effie noticed something Diana didn't on the rooftop, the camera. A shipping container seems like it's going to be intercepted and Tariq is hot as fuck, as all eyes seem to be on Tariq, according to him anyway. Now with the Tejadas, Monet is playing a very dangerous game, and the hallucination of Lorenzo definitely gave us a foreshadow of what's to come.
Those kids are never gonna forgive you.
So even though we're going to see Monet trying to re-establish some level of control, I don't think she realizes how she's opened up a whole can of worms when it comes to Drew and Kane fighting for the crown, and especially when it comes to Diana, who was Daddy's girl. But there certainly is a lot to unpack with this trailer, so let's have a look at the title and synopsis. Now the title of episode 7 is Deal or No Deal, and the synopsis reads, Tariq teams up with Rashad Tate to plot retaliation after an attack puts their streets operation on pause. Monet makes a play to re-establish control over the business, while Brayden uncovers a secret. Now what do they mean by deal or no deal? I always make the classroom scene a big focus to set the theme, but this time I'm going to use something else, Diana being caught on the rooftop. So just keep this in mind, we're going to come back around to it to tie everything together. Now Effie seems like she's on her own, or at least without Tariq St Patrick. In her corner seems to be Kane, who's going to be sliding over her some product, but the way Effie's been moving some weight at Stansfield is similar to course correct, and the rooftop is certainly key. Now just as a reminder, why there's a camera here is now because of Lauren.
You know what? And then I took Tariq to this low-key spot I knew about. There's a roof on top of a Stansfield building. This one, Monet Tejada.
So it was Lauren who told Jenny that she saw Diana at Stansfield's rooftop, which was after she showed her a picture of Effie and Tariq living a happy life. But we have to be mindful, there has been a lot of foul play and manipulation. But with Effie finding the camera, business is about to be hit, and law enforcement also have the images of Diana putting product into the locker boxes. So is it beyond reasonable doubt that we could finally see law enforcement making their move, with Blanca Rodriguez or Jenny Sullivan pulling someone in for questioning, giving them a deal or no deal, possibly Effie or maybe even Diana, because there is one scene we're yet to see, Effie being chased by law enforcement. Now we're going to stick with law enforcement because as the synopsis tells us, business will be on pause, and the trailer gives us a big focus on how law enforcement will be making their move. We see a shipping container being intercepted with Tariq saying wherever he goes, they've got their eyes firmly on him. And that's because he's one of the main targets, and he always will be, being a St. Patrick. Now what's in the shipping container is yet to be seen, but we all know Tariq and the crew have been forced to move guns as well as drugs. But I also wouldn't be surprised if this is a decoy, and this container being empty, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, Tariq's operation will definitely be on pause, and Noma's not going to be happy, because that's not her problem. Tariq, Brayden and Kane promised they'd be able to replace Mecca, and so she's going to hold them to that, especially Obi, who would love nothing more than to put a bullet in Tariq St Patrick. Although Tariq was able to get rid of the last of his family from New York, Grandma Estelle, so Obi doesn't have anything he can threaten Tariq with, not in terms of family anyway. Now here's where it gets interesting. Sax questions Jenny, is there anybody at the DA's office that could have tipped Tariq off? And as the synopsis tells us, he's going to be working with Rashad Tate to plot retaliation after an attack puts their street operation on pause. Now for Tate, he's got money rolling in from Tariq to aid his political campaign, but it's not just Rashad Tate who could be feeding him information, it's Lauren.
Lauren, look, if you want your old life back, you need to help me.
They say you're a monster.
Yeah, well, if I'm a monster, I was made into one.
So we hear Tariq telling Lauren if she wants her old life back, then she needs to help. And I previously mentioned I was torn on whether Lauren would actually help law enforcement, because she has been lied and manipulated to a few times. So at least based on the trailer, Lauren telling Tariq what she knows in terms of their investigation. She tells him they think he's a monster. Now Tariq's response is, well, if I'm a monster, I was made into one. But this was the life that Tariq wanted, right? He wanted to be his own man and he wanted to enter the game. But his words were, since he killed Ray Ray, it's been one thing after another. But we could even go back further past Ray Ray if we really wanted to. But the bottom line is, Tariq chose this life and he wanted the game. And although others have contributed towards him becoming a monster, I think he needs to take a hard look in the mirror.
Because you reap What you sow, boy.
But one thing is clear, Tariq needs Lauren's help, and he can't beat law enforcement without her because they are closing in. So back to law enforcement, but this time in regards to the Tejadas. Now we see law enforcement raiding the Tejada house, and I don't think they'd be raiding Monet's house if they weren't given a tip or had some solid evidence, so I wonder what they're looking for or who they're after. But one person who I think will play a major role in these last few episodes, especially after Lorenzo's death, is Diana.
It's Monet again. She's always the problem.
She has to go, Tariq.
This is a scene we haven't seen yet, Diana saying it's Monet again, she's always the problem. So at some point I do expect the kids to find out she was behind Lorenzo's death, and when they do, they're gonna turn on Monet, just like Lorenzo warned. Now Monet is gonna try and re-establish some level of control, but there is someone in her way, Gordo. We see her telling Gordo that she needs to back off Drew, but he refuses. He says that he's gonna keep on seeing Drew, and she ain't gonna do shit about it. But I think that's a huge mistake from Gordo. He's disobeying direct orders from Monet, someone who had the father of her 3 kids killed, and someone who also killed Zeke's father. So I'm pretty sure she'd have no problem in wiping out the entire Castillos if that's what she has to do to get control over her kids. Going all the way back to season 1, we know control means everything to Monet, and if someone's standing in her way, she'll definitely get rid of them. Now this situation is complicated in more ways than one. Gordo's still in bed with Drew, but he's also the one who sliced Lorenzo's throat, and at this moment in time, Drew has no idea. But let's just wait until he finds out, because we're already beginning to see his character turn. So where Tariq says he was made into a monster, I think we can say Monet's making a huge contribution into Drew turning into one as well. I think we just need to wait for the moment Drew finds out Gordo was the one who killed his father, because he's gonna see absolute red, something we knew he had in him since season 1. Now the last thing to come from episode 7's trailer is Davis warning Cooper Saxe there are consequences to getting caught, and we have to remember, these trailers are manipulated as fuck, and just as an example, episode 6's trailer showed Monet telling Drew, don't do anything reckless, and he replied with no. But that's not how their conversation went down in episode 6.
And don't do anything reckless, you hear me?
Yeah.
So back to Davis and Cooper Saxe. We all know Cooper Saxe is playing a very dangerous game, and I think there's been a few clues of how Davis might be onto him through his assistant, and maybe asking him what he knows about the investigation into Lauren's death. Davis isn't stupid, he's the best defense attorney in New York for a reason, and sooner or later Saxe will definitely get caught. It really is only a matter of time, and it's also a matter of time before we see Theo being released with a gun to Saxe's head. So that's a breakdown of episode 7's trailer, and we are entering a territory where there's not that many scenes or teasers we can go back to which were released before the season, and that means expect elements of surprise. Law enforcement seem like they're going to close in on the Tejadas as well as Tariq St Patrick, but with Lauren and Rashad Tate's help, Tariq may remain one step ahead, but I do still maintain someone definitely has to go down at the end of the season, and I'm still sticking with my theory of Monet Tejada. So drop all your predictions and thoughts down below for all things episode 7, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.